Hey everybody, welcome back to Road Test TV. Today we want to share with you some of our experiences buying some pretty notable cars and the importance of having one device in particular that saved us tens of thousands of dollars. Most people don't know what a paint meter is. A paint meter measures the thickness of the paint from the metal to the top layer of paint. And why is that important? Well, it's important because most cars that are painted at the factory, their paint is pretty uniform, especially newer cars. They're painted by robots, and the paint is laid on layers, and those layers have a specific paint depth. When you're measuring the paint on a vehicle that's been painted from the factory, the paint panel should be uniform, and I'll show you a paint meter device. This is what a paint meter looks like. And this meter here has saved me tens of thousands of dollars. So I'll tell you one story in particular, and I'm going to show you some video of the experience. We bought a Dodge Demon back in 2018, ordered in 2017. The vehicle came in 2018. We got a call from the dealership. The dealership said the car had arrived, had 6 miles on it, and was waiting for us to pick it up. Actually, had to fly to the dealership because the local dealerships here were charging $50,000 over sticker price. So I jumped on a plane to head to the dealership, but before I did, I brought a few things with me, one of them being a paint meter. And some people thinking, why would you bring a paint meter to go look at a new car? Well, because in my experience, I've seen brand new cars that have had paint work done to them. And how does that happen? Well, during the assembly process, sometimes a car will get scratched and it'll get pulled off the assembly line. It won't pass inspection at the final, at the end when the car's coming off. So they'll put the car in a special area, and what they'll do is they'll determine what they need to do to repair the vehicle. Sometimes it means painting a panel or two to make the car look presentable. Well, for people that don't care about value, that's okay. For people that do care about value, that's not okay. When a car has been painted, the value of the car has been diminished. Anybody knows that buys a high-end car, if they put a paint meter on the car and it reads inappropriately, that's a problem. So anyway, brought the paint meter with me, flew to the dealership, and when I arrived, the general manager sees me with the paint meter going over the car, and he's looking at me like I'm crazy. And honestly, I felt a little bit embarrassed I was using a paint meter on the car, but I figured this car is going to have some value in the collector world at some point in time. Maybe it'd be a good idea to paint me the car just in case. Long story short, as I'm metering the car, it starts off at 3 mil and 3.5 mil, and that's all about what you'd expect to see on a vehicle. 4 mil, all within the range of normal. As I work around the driver's side of the car to the passenger side of the car, as I hit the passenger fender, it goes up to 9 mil. Well, 9 mil is not normal, especially on a car that's reading 3 to 4 mil all over the body except for the fender. I then went on the hood, and the hood read 10 mil, 9.5 mil. I backed down to the fender because I thought I was losing my mind, and the fender read 9 and 10 mil again, 8.5, 9, 10 mil. That's way too high. Again, the most it should read is about 4 mil, maybe 5 mil at most. So there was something off. I put the paint meter down. The general manager's looking at me like I'm crazy. And as I start looking around the car, I noticed that there's overspray in the door jamb of the car between the fender and the door. And I noticed that the bolts on the hood had been turned. Well, that's a problem. So I went to the general manager and I said, I can't buy this car. And he said, well, why not? I said, because the car's been painted. And he said, well, what am I supposed to do? I said, well, what you're supposed to do is, I guess you're gonna have to disclose it to somebody else, but this is a car that I cannot buy. So I passed on that car. They were obviously disappointed, but clearly at the time, there's a lot of people who would buy a Dodge Demon, and I think a lot of people would take it with the paintwork. I don't know. So as I was taking an Uber back to the airport, I started thinking to myself, can you imagine what would have happened had I not flown out to inspect the car? If I just had the car shipped to me, assuming it was perfect because it was a new car, without ever putting a paint meter on it. The car would have been shipped to my house. At some point, in time later, I probably would have taken a paint meter, put it on the car, and had a heart attack when I saw the paint meter read 9 mil or 10 mil on the fender and the hood, and would have called the dealership and said, hey, this car's been painted. And they would have said, well, hey, you must have damaged it because we sold you a brand new car. So gladly I dodged that bullet by having a paint meter. And so what I want to do is I want to show you quickly what a paint meter does. So by comparison, I wanted to show you the paint thickness on a Dodge Demon that has factory paint. This is an Elko meter, which is a paint meter. It reads on aluminum and on steel. It will tell you the thickness of the paint, and it reads from the top of the metal to the top layer of the paint. Again, these vehicles should mill out at about 3.5 to 4 mil. So let's take some readings off this car. Three and a half on the rear quarter panel. 3.5 on the roof. 3.5 on the door. Let's go to the fender. 3.5 on the fender. A little bit of a glare. And then 4 on the hood. Another spot on the fender. 4 on the fender. Hope you all enjoyed the video of the importance of a paint meter. We thought we'd share it with you because we found it very helpful. I didn't know what a paint meter was until several years ago when I went to actually look at some cars with some friends and I saw somebody using it. After that I bought one. As a matter of fact, Brooks from Drag Times and I were looking at cars and he was looking at a Lamborghini. I had my paint meter and we went over the car with the paint meter and it was undetectable that there was an issue with the paint, and sure enough we got on the fender of the car that he was looking at, and the car clearly had been painted. Luckily, had the paint meter, he passed on that car. We've had another experience where we're looking at a GT2. That's going to be the next video that I shoot, is regarding this GT2 that we were taking a look at. We had been searching high and low for a 997 GT2. We were told by this individual the car had 3,000 miles on it. We were told by this individual that the car was original paint. We drove hundreds of miles to go see the car. The car was in great shape, 3,000 miles, but as we went around the car with the paint meter, it was clear that the car had been painted. Got some video of that I'll show you next time around. All right, thanks again for watching. We really appreciate you supporting the channel. If you like the channel, please subscribe. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up. Again, thanks for your support. Appreciate it.